Hi, I'm Lisa Comerford and I'm an art director. So I didn't really know much about being an art director when I was studying. But basically, when I was at Art Foundation, trying out lots of different kind of mediums to work in the art world, I kind of wanted to do something art-based, but something that I could get financial gain from, which sounds a bit crazy, but I came from a very working class background, so I was always kind of wanting to achieve a job that was going to pay my way. So graphic design seemed the kind of a way of practicing art, but also making a living from it. So that was why I chose to do that. I ended up studying graphic design at Bristol, a BA. And then I kind of always had this thought in the back of my mind that I wanted to work in the fashion industry still. And that was kind of fed into by the fact that the friends that I hung out with and the people that I live with were studying a BA in fashion. So I was always sort of surrounded by those guys and the stuff they worked on, which sort of sowed a seed that it was something that I was, continue to be interested and maybe wanted to work in the future. Following my degree, we had a show in London. And then I moved here for around 6 months, sending lots of letters, trying to get job applications in. But it's a very competitive industry and very difficult to break into it. So my real break came when I moved with a friend to New York. She already planned to go there. I just thought I'd try going over there to see what opportunities there were. Ended up getting placements in a couple of studios there, where I met who was to be my future boss. And we ended up working together there. He offered me a job back in London, and that was to turn into 10 years of working together. It was the early 2000s. I was back in London and working for Aboud Creative, who really already had a portfolio of fashion clients to work on. So I started off in the studio, working on mainly graphic design, so invites for the shows, fragrance packaging, carrier bags, lookbooks. But what I was really interested in was getting involved in the photography at this time. So I asked Alan if I could start attending the shoots. Biannually, we'd go to Paris for Fashion Week, where we film behind the scenes. And I really sort of began to get an idea of, lighting, casting, hair and makeup, all those sort of the different elements that collaborate to come together to create an image. And that got me really excited. And I just loved the nature of collaborating with all those people. And I guess from a graphic design background, like some people wonder how you end up working in art direction from graphic design, but I guess it's sort of about the framing of an image, the composition of a page, that all kind of lends itself to photography and filmmaking as well. And I think people don't always understand that leap. But yeah, from this moment, I was kind of hooked on it. I was just excited to be on set and creating with all those different types of creatives. After about 10 years with Alan, I started freelancing. We kind of both went in-house at Grey in London, which is much more of a kind of traditional big advertising agency. And there were a lot of differences between working somewhere small and boutique where you've got the opportunity to kind of like learn your craft, be mentored and grow. Whereas in Adland, the biggest difference, I guess, was how competitive it was. So every brief that comes in, there's teams of art directors and copywriters that all come up with their own ideas, and you almost have to internally pitch to be chosen to take on a role. So it was a lot more sort of competitive in that aspect. Very fast-paced, fun as well, but I kind of much more preferred the smaller agency from a sort of nurturing and sort of love of craft perspective. After 5 years at Grey, I also spent some time at an agency called Portas, and what I really gained from working at those two agencies was ways of diversifying my portfolio. So going from working just on sort of seasonal fashion campaigns, I was now working on TV spots, basically purpose-driven campaigns, shooting with real people rather than just models, which added a bit more sort of realness to the portfolio. When 2020 happened, I was on furlough for a bit, and that sort of gave me the idea that maybe it was time for a change. So I decided to go freelance for the first time. Again, it sort of opened up my world a bit to new clients. Working from home meant I could work with clients overseas, work remotely. It gave me a lot of opportunities with brands that before that kind of moment in time, I wouldn't have been able to work with. As a freelancer, particularly working remotely, has been a really great way of working for me. I've spent the last 4 years working with PVH based in Amsterdam, so working on Calvin Klein and more recently Tommy Hilfiger. And what's been great about working with those brands is I'm back to working in fashion and also working with great talent. The gravitas of those big brands brings in amazing photographers, filmmakers, stylists. So it's been a real privilege to work with all of those people and create some beautiful work. So I have started to use AI in my work, mainly to visualize stuff for presentations. I think we've reached this point where the client wants to see what the shoot looks like before it's been shot, and what AI provides is, adding in props, changing the lighting or the weather to create a visual so they can visualize more what the final product will be. So I haven't actually used it for creating the final piece of work, but certainly in selling in an idea, it's becoming increasingly useful. I feel the industry is in a state of change at the moment with the introduction of AI. It kind of reminds me of the days when we moved from film to digital and, how much of an impact it will have on the future. I definitely find that I think more people are, rather than just being a photographer or just being an art director, are kind of trying to add more strings to their bows. So photographers directing, art directors, becoming filmmakers. I think the key is to just try and keep up with all of the changes in technology and try and, keep learning. Because, I've sort of realised if you don't move with the change, then you get left behind. You should just embrace it and learn more from it. If you were to ask me what advice to give someone starting out in the industry today, it would be to just take this approach of mastering lots of different skills, look into AI, look into how social works, look into photography, film editing. I think as many strings to your bow you can have, the more successful that you'll be.